Everyone else was worried about oil prices going down. And I told you, I said it over and over again, not to worry. Oil prices are going up, and lo and behold, they continue to rise. Right now, Brent crude's trading at 71.77. WTI crude, 50 cents shy of $70 oil. I'm Sean Pruitt, president of Kingdom Exploration. Novak, a Russian over the oil and gas industry, is estimating $200 a barrel of oil. Now, do I think that's going to happen? I think it's more likely to happen than ever before, even more than when 2008 demand was growing. We didn't have any kind of green initiative. And I'm not predicting $200 oil, but I don't disagree with what Mr. Novak is saying. And the demand for oil continues to grow. And so we're going to talk about many things that the Biden administration is doing that is propping up oil prices. I'm Sean Pruitt, president of Kingdom Exploration. If you like this channel, please subscribe. I talk about oil and gas news and anything that affects the oil and gas industry, news regarding that. WTI near 70 as bulls run rampant. Okay, so there's a lot of charts here. And look, U.S. oil production, we were producing less than 9 million barrels a day in 2017. We went as high as 13 million. Abundant oil caused oil prices to drop down to the $50 level. And of course, COVID-19 kicked in. We dropped down to 10 million barrels a day, went back up to roughly a little over 11. And it looks like the analysts are expecting oil to continue production to decline. This is U.S. oil production. The U.S. is being very disciplined. They're not putting a lot of rigs online. I think we only brought in an additional 2 rigs last week. U.S. crude oil stocks, we're 3% lower. We've dropped about 5 million barrels in our crude oil stocks as of the end of the last week of last month. And so we're 3% less today than we were this time last year. So as you can see here, there was a climb, and we're starting to decline. Simply, we are balancing the markets, OPEC, Russia, Saudi Arabia, America. As we continue to reduce the oil output and demand increases, the oil glut is vanishing. Okay. And so more room to run. The fact that oil prices maintain and even extend a bit their higher levels this week is a clear sign that the market considers a $70 plus dollar level sustainable for a barrel of oil, Louise Dickson of Rystad Energy said. U.S. rig count falls as drillers show discipline. So U.S. drillers are showing discipline. In the past, it would be drill baby drill when oil prices hit $60, $70 a barrel. Now they've been stung many times, and to spend money to get all the rigs out just to reduce their income. I mean, because they've got millions and millions of barrels of oil being produced, and to reduce oil prices by $10 to $15 a barrel, it's a lot cheaper to keep the rigs home. Okay, keep them from going out, keep them from drilling, and they've learned the lesson the hard way. Now, OPEC leaders mock IEA's La La Land 2050 net zero roadmap. Now, I'm glad people are starting to see, and this is starting to become more mainstream, that nobody respects this net zero decarbonization plan. Okay, the world's largest petrostates rejected calls for rapid shift away from oil and gas, warning that starving the industry of investment would harm the global economy. Okay, so this is Russian Deputy Prime Minister Alexander Novak. Okay, he's a no BS kind of guy. He's a Russian, which causes Americans to be like, oh, he's Russian. He's bad, but listen, they know oil. Okay, they're not playing games, and they know they need to work with America and OPEC and everything else. And they had that war between the oil price war between Saudi Arabia and Russia, and everybody lost. Okay, and so everybody calmed down. Everyone's working well together. So Mr. Novak really knows what he's talking about. In the past, he has said things that happen. Okay, so if the world were to follow the International Energy Agency's controversial roadmap, which said investment in new fields would have to stop immediately to achieve net zero carbon emissions by 2050, the price for oil will go to what? $200. Gas prices will skyrocket, said Russian Deputy Prime Minister. Okay. And so, and these warnings were echoed by the energy ministers of Qatar and Saudi Arabia, who said they will keep expanding their oil and gas facilities, and warned others against the consequences of starving the industry cash. The euphoria around the transition to clean energy is dangerous. Qatar's energy minister, Sayed Sharida, at the St. Petersburg International Economic Forum in Russia on Thursday said, when you deprive the business from additional investments, you have big spikes in prices. Okay, so here's the deal. While America is going green and throwing away, because here's the deal. This world was built on oil. We can't just go backwards. We found the cheapest energy in the world was fossil fuels, and America wants to go green, okay? And these other countries don't agree with what Biden is doing. They don't agree with what the Biden administration is doing. So everybody believes, and the news is making everyone believe that, hey, everybody's going against fossil fuels, but it's actually not true. The G7 nations invest more in fossil fuels than clean energy, despite the pledges. Look, it's a lip service, guys. They're saying things that aren't happening, okay? The G7 nations have been pumping more in fossil fuels than in clean energy since the start of the pandemic. Despite headline-grabbing pledges for building back greener, a new report found on Wednesday. Look, you could talk about it. You could have all these amazing articles and keep inundating us with videos, radio, news articles saying, hey, everyone's going green, fossil fuels is evil, the global warming pandemic, it's coming. Look, it's a lip service. And that huge summit regarding the Green Energy Initiative, that was all lip service. The group of 7 most industrialized nations, Canada, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, the UK, and the US, committed between January 2020 and March 2021 more than $189 billion to support coal, oil, and gas, while clean forms of energy received only $147 billion, the analysts showed. Look, what you guys hear from the headlines is absolutely not true. They're spending more money on fossil fuels. And Russia and Saudi Arabia are laughing all the way to the bank. It's no different than what happened during the .com. We were hiring people from India. We're giving our tech jobs overseas, okay? And so then there was a huge initiative to be more competitive to bring all that back, okay? Well, now we're handing all of our energy demand, our energy needs over to the Middle East. I mean, what do you think is going to happen when we spend all this money on green energy and we destroy our fossil fuel industry? What do you think is going to happen? Because we don't have the green tech that we need to replace fossil fuels as of yet. It might take 30 years. And I don't even know that. I mean, we're just going by what people have said, okay? But in medieval times, they tried to use windmills. They tried to use solar power panels. And we find out that, hey, fossil fuels is the cheapest, most combustible energy in the world. So what do? We built the entire universe on an energy that comes from the ground. It's called fossil fuels. And now we're trying to go backwards. We've built an infrastructure for fossil fuels, and now we're trying to go backwards to a cleaner energy. Now, on paper, it sounds great, but it doesn't exist yet, guys, and we're destroying our oil and gas industry before we even have a tech to replace it. Man, Russia loves this idea. I mean, it's a great plan for the Middle East. Russia and Saudi Arabia reject calls to end oil and gas spending, call IEA's net zero plan unrealistic. Look, most of the world thinks this net zero plan is unrealistic. It ain't gonna happen, but they're pretending, and they're giving a lip service all the while Japan and China and all these other countries are spending money on coal. Why? And oil. Why? Because it works. It's the only thing that works. And they're not, and they're like, hey, go ahead, America. We're going to be your biggest cheerleaders, but they're not putting their money where their mouth is. And Biden is caught holding the bag because he's an idiot listening to Ocasio-Cortez. I mean, she doesn't know what she's talking about. But we all believe in this Green New Deal, right? I mean, it's unbelievable that somebody that knows nothing about energy, and she writes the Green New Deal, and the entire Biden administration is wanting to spend trillions, okay, which is being blocked. Biden suspending Alaska oil and gas leases goes against reason for statehood. Look, Biden continues to make it very difficult for the oil and gas industry to continue to develop, which bodes well for oil prices, bodes well for Russia. Russia to consider ditching dollar-denominated oil contracts if faced with more U.S. sanctions. Now, guys, listen. If you don't understand why our fiat currency has outperformed every other fiat currency, it's really simple. Our currency is the most demanded currency in the world because we made a deal with Saudi Arabia back in Richard Nixon days. I mean, there was a time when we weren't allowed to sell gold. We made agreements with all these other countries, France, all these countries, to hold their gold, and we promised that we wouldn't print more money than there was gold. And so we did. We printed more money than there was gold. All of a sudden, all these countries started demanding their money back. And then Richard Nixon made a law. Hey, you're not allowed to exchange your gold for dollars anymore. You're not allowed to do that. And so we stole gold. And so he ripped the gold away from the dollar. Okay? So we got rid of the gold standard. We threw that out. And then we became a fiat currency overnight. All right. And so they're scratching their heads. How can we save the economy? How can we save the US dollar? Well, I got an idea. They made a deal with Saudi Arabia. They made a deal with Saudi Arabia. Hey, we will protect your assets. We will use military force to protect you guys. Okay. If you sell your oil in US currency, and all of a sudden, the petrodollar was born, putting our central banking system in every country except for North Korea and Cuba. Now our dollar, in order to buy oil, you have to have dollars. So you trade your ruble, you trade your whatever currency you have, you trade it for US dollars, and then you buy oil with it. That forced China, Russia, Saudi Arabia, every country in the world to have US dollars. Okay. Now, if Russia, which that's what they're considering, ditching the dollar for oil. Okay. And so instead, they're going to use their own currency. If that happens, you're going to see inflation like you've never seen it before. And see, the thing you don't understand, we buy oil based upon U.S. currency. We see oil prices based. I mean, if you look at oil prices today, it's all in USD. Well, it's the same way in Russia, same way in Saudi Arabia. Now, have you ever bought a barrel of oil that wasn't attached to your own currency? Where everyone else does except for America. So all we do, it was a brilliant idea because all we did was we printed money and we exchanged it for oil. We printed the money and we exchanged it for oil. Now, when China buys oil, they have to sell something for it. And so that's why they started selling us all these goods, all these trinkets from China, because in exchange, they take that cash, U.S. currency, and then they trade it for oil. So they have to They use their blood, sweat, and tears building electronics, and then they ship it overseas to America. We buy it. We print money. We send it to China. And then China sends that money to the Middle East to get oil. It's brilliant for America. It's brilliant. All we do is print money for electronics from China, and all we do is print money for oil. Now, Biden wants to do the same thing for green. He wants to print money for green tech from China. But he wants to continue to destroy our oil and gas industry. And he's setting us up to start buying oil from the Middle East again. But what happens? What happens if we don't have the petrodollar anymore? What happens if our fiat currency is not able to trade for oil anymore? We're going to be just like every other country, and we're going to be indebted to these other countries for energy. It's going to be a mess, guys, and you're going to see inflation like you've never seen it before, and what that does to oil prices. You have never seen how high oil prices before. It's going to get worse, guys. All right, guys, I'm Sean Pruitt, president of Kingdom Exploration. If you like this channel, please subscribe, and we'll talk soon. Thanks.